What we, the Brotherhood of Illuminates, the Enlightened Ones, in Christ consciousness, are about to tell you is of vital importance to the world generally. We speak equally to Christians, Judaism, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, and to every religion and every race of the world. We speak to all because each and every one in the world needs this instruction to make it possible for you to move on to higher levels of spiritual awareness. Your personal and sexual relationships between men and women are of far more importance to your overall well-being than you can presently even imagine. We deal with these relationships at length in the following pages only because it is absolutely imperative, vital for you men and women to wake up to the basic reality of your male or female individuality and identity, and true source of gender differences. You must fully understand the true origin of your male and female bodies and characteristics. They are not just bodies created with differing physical organs and modes of sexual expression in order to create children. They draw the origins of their masculinity and femininity from their very source of being, from within the equilibrium of universal consciousness. I am telling you this before you read letter 5, so that you will study that letter bearing in mind what I'm telling you now about your sexuality. Therefore, if the sexuality of a man and woman is not used in conformity with the divine consciousness intention expressed in the original act of creativity at the time of the Big Bang, it is obvious that although the sexuality may produce children, it will not bring to men and women the unity of being and personal fulfillment and joy it was meant to bring. In fact, the reverse is true. Eventually, the sexual act itself brings disappointment and satiation. After which any love previously felt by partners drains away. With knowledge and understanding, spiritually based men and women will make every attempt to transcend their present state of consciousness in regard to male-female relationships of any kind, no matter what those relationships may be, sexual or otherwise. They will strive to express within their minds and hearts the purpose for which they were created in different forms. They will understand the origins of their differing innate impulses, temperaments, and modes of self-expression, and will value them. They will use their differences to enhance the well-being of each other. Competition will disappear. As this happens, they will tune into divine consciousness even more easily. As they tune into divine consciousness even more easily, so will they ascend into higher levels of spiritual consciousness. At the moment, your approach to your sexuality is your barrier to your ascension in consciousness. It roots you in your humanhood. We cannot emphasize sufficiently that you have not discovered the truth of your existence until you have fully understood and sought to implement in your daily lives, in your homes and workplace, your full comprehension of the true meaning of man and woman. You've been told that you must not commit adultery, but I tell you that when you desire your neighbor's wife or husband, you are making pictures in your thoughts which will affect the thinking of your neighbor's wife or husband. He or she will begin to think about you in the same way, or will feel uncomfortable in your company, feeling your sexual need, and will avoid you in future. What is in your mind will surely come into being in the world, so do not fool yourself that you can daydream and conjure up pictures pleasing to yourself which will damage no one else. For this reason, your pornography literature is truly a blasphemous discretion of your source of being. It is a sexual scourge, deliberately whipping up sexual appetites, releasing through lustful men's minds untold suffering and misery on the body, minds, and emotions of female young. When you have perpetuated and are presently doing has helped bring your civilization to the present edge of destruction. Rest assured the day of reckoning will come for you who publish and distribute the printed sickness, and it will come for those who use it to arouse themselves. You in the Western world have earned the contempt of the East due to your decadent foolishness. You will not escape what you have sown, and you of the East will not escape your foolishness in your callous attitudes towards your women who bear and raise your sons and precious daughters. Some of you, in ignorance of truth, for your own selfish purposes and gain, have made a mockery of the truth of Muhammad. You have shrouded your women in heavy garments, denying them freedom of movement and of Allah's fresh air as they venture out amongst other people. To what kind of man will your beliefs and your irrational, egocentric behavior appeal? Only to men who have no kindly feelings for women. It is such followers that your Prophet Muhammad would have attracted when he was on earth. Is it so? No, indeed. He appealed only to the most spiritually minded of people. What kind of imagery or pictures of your prophet are you sending out to the rest of the world? I will tell you of a man demented and obsessed by the lowly state of the female sex, who regarded a woman as a man's possession to be imprisoned from the world. A man unaware of woman's true needs to be happy, a man oblivious of her misery in the captive, subjected state. This man has nothing whatever to do with the true Muhammad, the prophet of Islam. When on earth, he revered and respected the female sex. It was from the female of the species he derived the means to move forward on his spiritual path to enlightenment. He owed them much, and knew that although they were different in body, they were equal in spirit. In fact, it was no accident that he came to earth, poor and deprived, to meet a lady of extreme virtue, material wealth, and spiritual insight to help raise him up to the stature of prophet when he was fitted to fill it. That was the purpose behind Muhammad's coming to earth, to restore women to her rightful place as equal partner of dominant man. Consider this well. After enlightenment, I, in the person of Jesus, became celibate because I choose to do so, but this is no way inferred with my love for the women who ministered to my needs. But Muhammad, after enlightenment, knew many women, and his ministry was of one who was called upon to learn how to live and deal with women equally, equitably, and with love. Just as expediency caused my followers to report my doings and teachings selectively to promote their own purposes, so has the selfishness of certain spiritually blind individuals caused them to distort Muhammad's original teaching with numerous additions and interpretations never intended by Muhammad. In such a way is every great spiritual teacher's work overlaid by the misinformation of human thought until the truth is so shrouded in falsities that people are led seriously astray and even caused to sin in ignorance. Because you and certain other religions have strongly adhered to the belief in Adam and Eve created to live in happiness in the Garden of Eden, of Eve's temptation by the serpent, her fall from grace, and her temptation of Adam, man has been encouraged to perceive woman as the great temptress. The imagined origins of humankind are not true. They are merely allegories. Neither is it true that woman is the great temptress. For Enoch's, the woman has no appeal. Why is this? Because that which impels a man to lie with a woman is removed. Therefore, in whom is the tempter? In man himself, and can be physically removed from him, or in the woman who remains herself despite all. Man has been made expressly to plant the seed. Therefore, to plant the seed, he must, whenever he sees the opportunity. Woman has been made to receive the seed. In past years, before the 20th century, women were sexually dormant until seduced by men. Where then the tempter? In men, the arousers and seducers, or in women, the seduced and aroused. Man has been hiding from his own masculine nature in the name of purity and placing the responsibility for the downfall on women. Is this a sacred activity? Is it worthy? Should it continue? We speak to those of you who profess to adhere to the Muslim faith and who believe you are sinless or of pure mind because you have shrouded your women in heavy clothes to protect yourself from temptation and prevent other men seeing your possessions. How greatly are you misled by your own passions? By being protected from the exercise of your human desire, they only increase until they break out in some virulent, brutal form. We say to men and women everywhere, true purity is only attained when you can be surrounded with every form of temptation and yet remain untouched by desire, unmoved by earthly feelings, untainted by earthly lust, free of cravings and longing for possession. Purity in its every form transcends all earthly physical hungers. Purity is the ability to see temptation for what it is, grossness of thought and feeling which traps the senses of men and women into doing unclean things. A truly pure person desires only the clean and honest environment suited to the innate longing for spiritual love and beauty of self-expression in every facet of their lives. That is true purity. However, true purity cannot be achieved unless there have first been the long years of temptation. It is a necessary part of your spiritual development. Unless you have been sorely tempted at times and have eventually come to understand that there is a higher road to walk, a road of self-denial and a sincere concern and caring for a good woman, you will never attain a state of true purity. You will be enslaved by desire and will be in constant turmoil of inner conflict. Therefore, do not avoid temptation by covering women and living in artificial conditions of pseudo-purity. Rather, men and women, remove your clothes, revere each other's body as the outer, visible, beautiful form of the inner divine consciousness, and experience the release that true spiritual purity will bring you. Suffer grievous temptation and overcome. Take your conflict to divine consciousness and seek its power to help you overcome your physical longing, for only in this way will you find the freedom, the peace of mind you are basically seeking. If at the moment you seek relief and release of your craving by giving way to it, this is no freedom or release. The self-same craving will return in due course, and once again you will know the searing conflict. If again you give way, again the conflict, even more intense, awaits your decision to stand firm in the power of divine consciousness until the craving is finally subdued by perceiving the sacred beauty, the reality behind and within all physical form. The highest spirituality between the sexes is when man and woman can be together, naked and at peace together, in a state of mutual reverence of soul, mind, heart, and body. In such spirituality, all they feel for each other is love and regard for the well-being of the other. Out of such love and compassion, tender caring will come a union of ecstatic being that few have experienced, and, if intended, a child of incomparably beauty of body and mind will be conceived. In the centuries ahead, when people have begun to evolve spiritually on every level of their humanhood, such a love between partners will be normal, and the kind of selfish sex seeking only physical satisfaction as indulgence in this present time will be regarded as utterly degrading, as abhorrent as rape. At the present time, the highest spiritual way to follow in regard to the sexes is to acknowledge and abide by the perception that men and women were created to perform special tasks in life suited to their underlying natures. The man impregnates the woman. Without the woman's goodwill and help, the man would go to the end of his days childless, without a human being to carry on his name. Therefore, the man should treat a woman as wholly equal, but born to carry different responsibilities. He should give her the highest respect and love and care at all times to enable her to carry her burdens with greater ease, for it is she who gives visible form to what is first conceived in mind. When a woman receives a sperm which unites with her ovum within the recesses of her body, a miracle is wrought to which the man has done nothing to contribute other than your sperm in a moment of delight, in which is your reward. You can only contribute to the continual health and normal development of the miracle you have given life to in your partner's body by your unfailing, caring love for her well-being and health, and protecting her from all emotional and external harm. This is your masculine responsibility. Only in this way do you deserve to remain at her side as father of her child. If you fail in this, you have no value as father to the child, and have no value to yourself as a man born to manifest your spiritual, divine consciousness father within your physical life. A man who harasses a woman carrying his child, who treats her with contempt, who offers harsh and brutal words and physical treatment, is breaking the most fundamental law of existence, in which male and female should be united in equality of divine beingness. Women who are respected and loved and protected should equally respect and love and offer refreshment of spirit and body to her partner, nurturing his capacity for giving of himself to her. A woman who does not nurture her partner with caring tenderness and love is depriving his masculine spirit of the will to endure in face of difficulties he encounters in the external world. He will seek his solace from another source, men or women, drink or drugs, or by isolating himself within the household, of use neither to partner nor children. Therefore, men and women have an equal responsibility to cherish each other. Just as the man must learn to channel daily the father aspect of divine consciousness towards family and work, so must woman learn to express the mother aspect of divine consciousness in her daily life. Those who deny this truth will be denied access to the celestial kingdoms until they have increased their spiritual perceptions and prayerfully exchanged their attitudes. Only when their vision is lifted above the earthly human perception of male and female and beyond their earthly desires and ego drive to the reality out of which they have drawn their being, will they escape the wheel of reincarnation and find entrance to the ultimate joy and glory. If within a culture a woman is regarded only as a possession, an object of a man's desire, and not treated as a woman absolutely equal with man, such a culture has not understood the true nature of man and the true nature of woman. Man and woman are two equal halves of the whole. When single and alone, the man is manifesting but one aspect of his source of being. And when woman lives alone and single, she also manifests but one aspect of her source of being. The divine intention of universal consciousness was to express its own wholeness through creation by individualizing in physical form each of the two equally balanced aspects of itself, and then bringing them together again in physical form to experience the unity and wholeness of divine consciousness from which they originally took their individuality. As they come together in love and unity of spirit and body, they discover the joy and ecstasy of universal consciousness in equilibrium. This entire process is clearly set out in letter 5 and 7. Therefore, the combination of the masculinity of man and the femininity of woman is essential to make a whole drawn from the source of being. Out of this combination is formed a whole child. When I was in the desert in Palestine, I first perceived that the overriding nature of the universal consciousness creativity, our source of being, was intention. The intention to create, plan, and design, and then to bring forth that design by growing it, feeding it, healing, protecting, and fulfilling its every need in a disciplined manner. Both male and female have evolved in physical form and consciousness to experience intention and express it in all ways possible in their lives. This is the very first act of creativity. Without intention, there would be no creation. Intention is the origin of and permeates the whole of existence. Intention defines the nature of the deed, loving or destructive. The male and female have been individualized to experience and formulate intention in their lives. This is the very first impulse of creativity. Male and female have also been individualized to experience and express willpower. Willpower in the male is experienced and expressed primarily as activity. In primitive forms, he moves out into the environment to fulfill his intention. Therefore, he dons the robes of the leader and quester. He was individualized to think and work to fulfill his purpose without the encumbrance of emotions. Willpower in female is motivated and experienced primarily as feeling the need to nurture the original intention and bring it purposely to full term fruition through the process of caring, feeding, clothing, repairing, teaching, and protecting. Purpose is entirely different to intention, since purpose comes down from the mental plane of intention and becomes an emotional drive, a desire to formulate a means to achieve the intended end. A powerful intention to do something becomes a purpose behind continued existence. In this way, thought and feeling are married to perform the work of creation. The male is constantly roaming, seeking new ideas, new ways to fulfill his intention, to give him purpose in life. The female's intentions are purpose personified, sensitive and stable, prepared to make sacrifice for the loved ones. Therefore, the two basic impulses within the source of being, expressed in physical form as male and female, are interdependent. One cannot survive without the other. Both are needed for the continuation of creation. Because of his masculine mobility, his leadership drive, the male has considered himself superior to the female. This is because she remains stable, creating security for the male. But the female drive is the drive of unconditional love, the drive worthy of the highest respect and consideration to enable her to flourish and perform her innate purpose within the household in peace of mind and joy. The man's role is to provide physical security and material means of subsistence for the family. The woman's role is to provide emotional security and the emotional means of personal fulfillment and joy within the family environment. In the past, in the East and West, the male has exercised his role of dominance within the home, making the woman subservient and obedient to his will. In so doing, he has bent and distorted the energies of divine consciousness and channeled them through his mind and heart into a bent civilization. He has also distorted the woman's consciousness by instilling in her a deep resentment of her subservient role, which she knows intuitively she should not be expected to endure. Therefore, he has created a degraded and degrading way of life for himself and partner, entirely in conflict with the nature of his source of being. The fact that the female has had to exercise her masculine drive of aggression to express her equality of being, to achieve the respect due to her within society, means that your civilization has become thoroughly destabilized and unhealthy. The woman is usurping the male role out of desperation, but in doing so, she is defeating the intention behind creation. Male and female have lost their way completely. In underdeveloped countries, people are only half alive, trying to solve the division between male and female through casual sex. As a result, man and woman become ever more divided and unfulfilled. Conflict in the family unit creates stress, misery, and separation, even though they may live under one roof. In developed countries, psychiatric offices are filled with unhappy people and children who say they do not know who they really are or what their purpose is in life. They are asking the experts, who do not know the answers either. It should be remembered also that each person, male and female, have lessons to learn in life which can only be learned in the sex and the race in which they find themselves. Therefore, a woman must accept her role in life as the provider of emotional love and security to her mate and children with self-respect and dignity, and performed in the very best of her ability. She must recognize that the role of the provider of emotional security is absolutely vital to society. She provides the glue of love and well-being which holds families, cities, countries together. When she understands her true place and goals in society and seeks to perform and achieve them in the highest way possible, she is moving forward rapidly on the path to unconditional love and the highest rewards in personal fulfillment and happiness. She will also move on to the higher level of consciousness, perhaps as a male in her next life who will bring great benefits to mankind. Similarly, spiritually evolved males, even spiritual teachers, return to life on earth to learn true humility and to put all their higher principles of existence into daily practice as a loving woman who mothers within wisdom and nurtures all who have needs of what she can offer. Where then is the inequality? Remove the scales from your limited sight and intellect and see with clear vision that there should be no inequality, only shared intentions to express all that you have both drawn from divine consciousness in the most spiritual way to achieve the highest happiness possible on earth. In years to come, when a man and woman have evolved spiritually, if or when divided in intention, they will together take their intentions to Father, Mother, Divine Consciousness, asking, what is to be created in our circumstances? What is our best way ahead? When they have received answers, they will accept them and with loving heart and pull them. Any differences in answer will be respected and again taken to divine consciousness with the same request until they reach sincere consensus. Together, man and woman will then return and ask divine consciousness, how may we best achieve our purposes? And again, they pool their answers and continue asking until they finally arrive at a working plan which has been conceived, not in the human brain alone, but in the highest dimension of creativity, divine consciousness. Working together in this way, they will eventually experience the bliss of true unity of soul, mind, heart, and body. Finally, though male could not exist comfortably without also experiencing and manifesting some of the feminine drive, he needs emotion to bond with his wife, children, and other relationships, schoolmates and workmates, colleagues and friends. Without some warm feelings, he would be a cold monster. Frequently, if an old soul, he brings through much warmth and caring from previous incarnations as a woman. The more spirituality involved he becomes, the more equally are the two sexual impulses balanced within his nature. This also applies to women. Equally, the female could not exist comfortably without some of the masculine drive. Without a capacity for intelligent planning, her household would be a disaster zone. There is also the possibility that she has been a strong masculine character in her past incarnation and is uncomfortable in the female role of sacrificing herself for others. Such a one must ask of divine consciousness to clarify her vision, that she may see that without love for humanity, leadership is a dangerous exercise. When men and women are nearing an equal balance of male and female natures within themselves, their task in life is to transcend their sexual drive through achieving unconditional love for all people and directing the drive itself into pure creativity, such as the arts. Of such people are masters made, masters of themselves, masters of creativity, masters of human consciousness, masters of matter. Unfortunately, at this present time, your men and women who are nearing equal balance of male-female natures within their one nature have no guideposts as to what their true goals should be. They have lost their way and have created a spurious society among themselves in which the joy and personal fulfillment they seek is negated by their preoccupations with bodily functions rather than with spiritual achievements. They will remain unhappy people torn with conflict until they discover the truth regarding who they really are. In speaking about feminine role in life, it must also be said that many of your modern women in developed countries have achieved a high degree of masculine drive in the past 100 years. They must choose their priorities in life carefully. They do not have to sit at home, stagnant and bored, but they will become happier, more fulfilled people if they turn their intelligence and abilities to creating new modes of constructive life for the whole family. At the moment, they may not know how to do this, but meditation will draw into their minds the necessary inspiration on the best way to use their powers of leadership and talents for the happiness of all. Men who have developed greater capacity for empathy with women and their fellow men will also, through meditation, followed by inspiration, find higher ways of expressing their capacity for leadership in their work, bringing happiness to others. We, dealt with the matter of the sexes in why have we, dealt with the matter of the sexes in such depth? This has been absolutely necessary since the battle of the sexes, both in the East and West, is creating unhealthy conditions on earth. It fosters aggression and festers as anger and hostility. Sexual freedom has brought the world to crisis point of extinction by impregnation of AIDS. All viruses are created within destructive consciousness forces. You must understand that human beings have created their own viruses. Every virus is a destructive living consciousness impulse made visible. It targets what the impulse of destructive consciousness targeted at the moment the virus took on form. I was very clear about the aspect of existence when I was on earth in the persona of Jesus. The Jews had the rigid tradition of washing cups before drinking from them. I told them explicitly that they should not be worried about what went into their mouths. They should be concerned about what came out of their minds and hearts, then out through their mouths. At that time, science had not discovered the presence of viruses, but it was agreed that disease came from eating and drinking through dirty utensils. But I knew that the disease had originally come out of the minds and hearts of savagely angry people. Therefore, it was propagated by the division of the cells, but it carried within itself forever the instinct and consciousness which initially brought it into being. AIDS has been no accident. It has emerged from the consciousness forces of self-indulgence and destructive emotional reactions between sexual partners. Submerged hatred and anger can drive people into sexual act, leaving a residue of sickness behind in mind, emotion, and body. Because emotional attunement has not always motivated the sexual act between men and women, they have known severe disappointment and lack of release and fulfillment. When this happens, the male sexual energy dwindles. It has been rekindled by images of sexual perversion. As a result, pornography has become big business in some countries. It panders to the body instinct alone. Out of pornography have come a lack of respect for women and a mechanical, non-emotional sexual act, together with rapid increasing rape and child sexual abuse. People giving way to these abdominal acts are depraved. Cruelty will surely reap the consequences, either in this life or a future incarnation. Therefore, when followers of Islam condemn the West for their lax sexual behavior and perversions, they are right to believe that it is bringing down unhealthy conditions on earth. These unhealthy conditions are not sent by Allah, but are a natural consequence of their breaking the laws of existence. Similarly, the followers of Islam are breaking the laws of existence because they, like the Jews, hold to the tradition of an eye for an eye and believe that there is such a thing as a holy war. There is no such thing as a holy war. There is only the reality of holy forgiveness and holy reconciliation, treating your brother, be he your enemy or friend, with love and understanding. None of you may break the laws of existence and hope that you may enter into the kingdom of heaven or paradise. Your behavior has no place beyond the mayhem you are presently bringing onto yourself. We will leave you with these thoughts, which we beg you will receive deeply into your consciousness and make good use of them in your daily lives. We strongly urge you to band together, irrespective of your religious belief, in small groups, to use the letters as guidelines for your daily lives. Shed, if you can, your conditioning and come together in true humility. As people willing to agree they know little of true spirituality, but are strongly desirous of learning how to enhance and spiritualize their lives. As many of you are aware, you are entering a new phase of world history, during this course of which it will be realized that no longer is the great divide between the wealthy and the poor. The great divide will be in consciousness. The divide will be between those who have been able to find entrance into the higher spiritual consciousness and radiant love and acceptance equally to all, friends and foes, and who make it their goal to radiate divine consciousness into every facet of their daily lives, and those who remain encased within their ego drives, seeking domination of the weak. They may appear to succeed for a while, but eventually they will fail, and their suffering in this self-created darkness will be great. These letters will be the means of your moving out of darkness into light. As you seek to raise your frequency of spiritual consciousness through radiating love to all unconditionally, so will you be going through a slow ascension in consciousness. which will dynamically affect your physical health and your earthly conditions. On you, brave people, will rest the upliftment of world consciousness. You will emerge from the coming conflict strong and purposeful, and will proceed to build another type of world consciousness. You will introduce the beginning of spiritual and technical and economic progress and world peace for centuries to come. I, the Christ, have spoken. We, the Brotherhood of Masters, speak to Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Jews, Hindus, Sufis, and to every religious persuasion of the world. You are all encompassed in our love. Believe this, for this is true.